Jai Atmeshwar, Samarpan Yog of the Himalayas, Part 1, Episode 41. There were no signs on this isolated, thickly forested island that any human had ever come here. There were tall trees, and there were creepers climbing up the trees. If a tree fell, then it would be stuck and could not fall on the ground as the jungle was so thick. There did not seem to be any possibility of coming across any human for several miles. Therefore, there was no question of pollution by man's thoughts. This island had purposely been chosen on the bank of the river for spiritual practice. It is true, there were some mountains around here, and one had to use a stick to push aside the bushes and make a path in whichever direction one walked. This place was a small world in itself. The insects were my only friends, and some birds were my neighbors because Gurudev mostly stayed in deep meditation. I would cut the wild bananas into small pieces and place them close to the ant hills. Ants have a great feeling of cooperation towards each other. I have never seen an ant eating the piece of banana that I had placed there. The ants would make tiny pieces of that piece and take them inside their home. They were very honest ants, and I would sit near their house and watch them for hours together. Sometimes I would throw them a big piece, and then an ant would come and try to lift it. When it could not do so, it would go into the ant hill and return with a long line of ants following it. They arrived in a line, and all the ants would try, and slowly they would lift the big piece and take it inside their home. They would face great difficulty in carrying it to their house. Then I asked for their forgiveness that now onwards I would never give them such a big piece that created such a problem for them. I was angry with myself that I would not have lost anything if I had given them a smaller piece. Thus, I realized my mistake. I was very happy with their sincerity towards the task. Sometimes, even a small ant would drag a piece that was several times larger than its own size. It would constantly keep trying and carry on with the task with great commitment and hard work. This became a great attraction for me. I would watch the ants and I would observe them, but until today, I have not seen any ant eating those pieces. I have only seen them storing them. There was an amazing mechanism of organization amongst them. I have never seen them fighting. On their return journey, they would touch their mouth to that of the arriving ants and they seemed to pass on some message and then continue moving. There was some transmission between them, and I would see an amazing tool of conversation amongst them. I felt at that time that any organizational structure should be like that of these ants. Perhaps if every weak individual, every poor person, every supportless person who has no one to depend on, a person who is always busy with too many thoughts, all get together and understand first of all that they are all weak people in society who are distressed, then they will always remember that a collective organization can make them strong. They will realize that they are of no use by themselves, and staying together is a necessity for them. All weak people in society can come together through the power of this organization. Similarly, one should leave alone those people in society who have found Paramatma, or those who do not want to reach Paramatma at all, and form an organization of people who have the desire to find Paramatma but do not know how to. These are people who themselves do not possess the physical or mental state to do so. Such people should first realize their weakened state and come together and form a good organization for themselves. Then they will be able to attain liberation in collectivity, because their ego, that I can attain liberation on my own, will not be present. The ego, that I can do meditation, won't be there, because they will realize that they cannot do anything alone. When they realize this, they will start using words which are full of collectivity, like we are meditating, we desire liberation, and they will attain liberation in collectivity. Weak people are stronger when they are organized, because they do not have any ego and they are aware that the organization is their strength. They know that the organization is a necessity for them. If they wish to move forward in the spiritual field, they will need to make organized efforts. The organized efforts of these people will bestow collectivity on the path to liberation, because now the time for developing the spiritual field has arrived. The treasure of spirituality, which has been lying hidden, should be distributed amongst all people, and spiritual progress can also happen in collectivity. But for this to happen, one will have to pray to the Guru energies. O Guru energies, please descend to earth and convey the blessings of these Guru energies to each and every person. Someone will have to wish for this. I mentally made the ants who had provided me with his knowledge my Guru. I learned that an organization of small and weak people is stronger, because Their I is not present in it. They are aware that they need to make an organized effort. Then, whenever I had time, I would go to the ant hills and sit there. The next morning, I again went to the river to bathe with Gurudev. There was a different type of joy in being with Gurudev. I used to go to the river every day for my bath, but the joy of bathing with Gurudev was very different. The whole atmosphere would be filled with consciousness in the presence of Gurudev, and all the water in the river would become vibrated as if even the river became happy in Gurudev's presence and felt very happy. I always felt that this moment should stop and my life should end at that moment, because now there was nothing left to be achieved. There was no need to continue living. Gurudev sat on the stones with me after his bath and started explaining. There is a story about Bhagirath, a great sage in Indian mythology in our culture. The sage Bhagirath had performed penance in order to bring down the river Ganga, which flows in heaven, and invited Ganga to descend after great penance. And then the river Ganga started flowing on earth. Similarly, there is a purpose in your life. You have to convey the river of knowledge to the ordinary man. Today, knowledge is being conveyed from one soul to another soul. Now, you have to perform the task of conveying this inner knowledge from one soul to millions of souls. You are thinking of ending your life in my presence. If you think like this, then that inner knowledge will stay only with you. It is the goal of your life to convey that inner knowledge to the ordinary man. The next period of time is very critical, and collective efforts are the need of this time. Inner knowledge is the only true knowledge in this world. Man has become so deluded that instead of understanding this knowledge of experience as the true knowledge, he thinks that the knowledge of books is the true knowledge. He does not know that bookish knowledge is only informative. Information about something that has already happened will never give one any experience. Experience is the one and only knowledge which can never be acquired through books. For example, you have read a book about a cow. There will be information about cows in that book. A cow has 4 legs, a tail, 2 horns. The cow may be white or red or yellow or black in color. The cow gives milk. The cow's milk is health-giving and white in color. All this is information about the cow. It is true that with this information, you can make a distinction between a cow and a horse because you have received information about the cow through the book. Thus, books give this type of information, but books can never give knowledge because knowledge is only inner knowledge. Inner knowledge is an experience. A book cannot give us the experience of cow's milk. Similarly, one can get knowledge from a book about what is inner knowledge, but one cannot obtain it. And managing inner knowledge is very complicated. A person who has acquired inner knowledge is already immersed in it. So how can he make another person experience it? But because he is bound to pass on this knowledge to others, what he does is that whilst giving up his physical body, he passes on that knowledge to someone. He cannot free himself from the debt to his guru until he passes on this knowledge. In order to free himself from the debt to his guru, he has to bestow the knowledge on someone. Knowledge is an experience, and he bestows it so that he himself can attain liberation. I too am going to perform this duty today. I am going to give you my inner knowledge so that I can attain my path to liberation and be free of my debt to my Guru. The biggest obligation in this world is the debt to one's Guru, and we can never repay it. I too won't be able to repay it, but I can at least offer a flower in the form of experience at my Guru's feet. And I am going to do exactly that. I am going to entrust you with the treasure of the knowledge of experience because this is necessary for me. I am not obliging you in any way. I am fulfilling my duty. I will be free of my duty, but your path is not as easy as mine. Your path is very difficult. You have to distribute inner knowledge to millions of souls. If a hungry person is given some fruits and asked to cut them into small pieces and distribute them amongst people, he will find it very difficult because he has to control his hunger and distribute the fruits to others. Thus, this is possible only if one's desire to distribute is greater than one's hunger. You have to perform this difficult task. Every soul carries along with it a goal before arriving on earth, and your soul has taken birth again and again with the purpose of distributing. But you weren't able to complete your purpose of distributing, and you took another birth to complete that purpose. This wheel kept turning, and now this cycle is coming to an end because in this birth, the Guru energies are helping you to obtain that knowledge through me as a medium. But this knowledge that you are receiving after several births will also not be able to give you liberation because you are tied down by your promises. In your previous births, you have promised millions of souls that when you acquire the knowledge of liberation, you will bestow it on them. Having given this kind of difficult promise, you are stuck now. You won't be able to attain liberation until you give them the knowledge. It has become a necessity for you to give them the knowledge. You were thinking just now in my presence, weren't you, that this life should end here itself? But your spiritual work still remains. You still have to fulfill your promises. My work was limited to myself, and my requirements were few. Therefore, whatever I obtained was related to my requirements. But your requirements are much greater, and you will also receive more. Your level of receptivity has grown greater as a result of your desire to give. This river of knowledge has been flowing along for several years. The purpose of your life is your task of conveying this river of inner knowledge to the ordinary man. It is your duty to do so. The thirsty person who has a thirst for liberation will cross 7 oceans and will definitely come to you. Therefore, do not think of giving up your life with me. I had asked for this knowledge for myself, and I have received it. You have asked for it for others, and you will have to convey it to others. This is the goal of your life. I thanked Gurudev for enlightening me about the purpose of my life. Jai Atmeshwar. We will conclude today's book reading session over here. Thank you for listening.